Hi, I'm Irv Vietzer, and I was born in Omaha on July 6th, 1928, and I've been living in Omaha all my life. Um, I was, we were born and we on 22nd and Burdett Street, and I started grade school at Lake School, and was in Lake School up until the third grade, and then we moved out to the neighborhood where Yates School was on 33rd. But before I talk about me, I like to talk about my parents. My dad was from Russia and the Ukraine in the southern area, and was very unhappy with the situation over there. So he and a younger brother were able to serve Russia by bribing the border guard with a pound of tobacco, and they got over to the port in Belgium, and they worked there about a year to earn enough money to get past to come to the United States and earn enough money. They found out the immigration quota would not let that into the States, so they knew if they went to Buenos Aires in Argentina, if they stayed there a year, they would be able to immigrate into the United States. So they went to Argentina. They didn't know the language, didn't know anybody, worked there for a year, and then fortunately were able to come into the United States. When they got to the States, they spent a couple of weeks in New York and found out that's such a big city, and it's not what they really dreamt America was like, and they came to Omaha, Nebraska. They knew in Omaha that it was a rural area and maybe a smaller town closer to the old country. They did have a very distant relative here, the Kaiser family. They did know here. And so anyhow, my dad arrived here, and he got his first job working in the at Paxton and Virling in the feeding their blast furnace. And Dad worked there a couple years till he learned all the difference between steel and cast iron and the different metals, and then he opened up his junk shop. And that was my dad's career all these years, and his location for his junk shop was between 15th and 16th and Burt Street. And so and my dad, when he got here, he met my mother, and my mother had an interesting situation coming here too. My mother was from Poland, and there were 6 brothers and my mother, and my grandfather left his wife and all those kids over there to come over here to work to earn enough passage to bring his family here, and he was here for a couple years before he did earn enough money to bring him over. So finally, when he had the money and they brought him through, and it was a harrowing experience for them to get through Ellis Island. And I did learn at the time that if you had a first or second class ticket, you wouldn't have to go to Ellis Island. They'd let you off ahead of that, but they sent the people who came steerage through Ellis Island, and so they could give them a medical exam and make sure that they could had what they should to be in this country. And about 20% of them were rejected. And when their family came in, one of my mother's brothers had a sore on his head, and they pulled him aside, and they almost thought the family was not going to make it. And but finally they approved him, and they all moved to Omaha. When they first moved to Omaha, they had the home on 22nd Burdett Street, and for the short time, all of them lived in one house. And the 6, my grandmother and grandfather and my mother and the 6 brothers. And then as they got established here, the brothers did move out, but that was the house that I lived in, and my sister. We were both born there, and we had a lot of company in that house. And then that was, of course, in the Lake School District, and that's where we started school. From there, when we moved up to 33rd and California Street, my father rented a house there. We lived there for about a year, and then moved to a little bigger house on 34th and Webster Street. And then after that, we lived there a couple of years, and then my dad was getting very well established in the junk business, and then he built our new home on 35th Avenue in Cass Street. And at that time, we thought that was a palace. We went, after we graduated from Yates School, we went to Central High School and finished a high school career there in 1946.
Irv, tell me about your high school career, some of the things you did while you were in high school.
Well, I basically was a serious student and studied most of the time, but did find time for athletics, played on the Central High tennis team, and also found time for AZA and enjoyed all the high school activities and with the ROTC, and got to be a captain and run the company commander, and was sports editor of the newspaper, the Central High Register, and had a very enjoyable high school career. But I saw how hard my parents worked, so I also spent a lot of time working, and every summer I worked on many jobs. One of my first jobs was a maintenance engineer at the Great Lakes Pipeline Company that's on the way to the airport, and my job was there to cut the grass and paint the tanks. And after that, I was looking for a higher paying job, and the next summer I got a job at Harding's Creamery, and I was able to, I worked in the churn room and worked in the print room, lifting the 100-pound bricks of butter and putting them through the print machine to make 1-pound blocks. And then I was able to work 2 hours overtime to clean the ice cream mixers at the end of the day, and that was the best part of the job because you got to eat a quart of ice cream every night, the richest ice cream around the mixers. And the following year, I got a job in the summertime as a section gang on the railroad. And that was a great experience for me because we were working primarily with minority people, and I thought at that time that I was more athletic and smarter than the people I worked with, and some of these people who I thought were really old at 40 were able to handle spiking and do a lot of the things better than I could, as hard as I tried. And that was a great experience for me to really understand a working person. And even though you have someone who's not too intelligent and maybe can't read and write, but they could still do a great job in their particular skill. And then finally I found out that, and that was very hard work in the summertime when they dropped you out in the country and you were out there for 8 hours in the hot sun. And I found out if you would take a civil service test, there's a possibility you could get a job as a letter carrier. And that's what I did, and I was able to carry mail during the Christmas vacation, and then one whole summer that I was a letter carrier, and that was a higher paying job and also a much more desirable job. So I had a lot of great experience during my high school and college career. When I went to college, I went to the University of Nebraska, and and I studied mechanical engineering, and I became a member of Sigma Alpha Mu fraternity, and the university was a great experience. I enjoyed everything about the university. I enjoyed the studies, enjoyed all the people that were in the fraternity and all the activities that we had, and I enjoyed my ROTC experience too. I did some work when I was at school too. I worked in the library, and then also I worked grading papers for the engineering department, and I thought that was really pretty good because I was getting paid by the hour at the library, and I was able to do grade papers some of the time at the same time. So I thought I really had a pretty outstanding job there. Also, a friend of ours had a job with Cushman Motor Works, driving a motor scooter to test it, and he had to drive it so many hours a day, and sometimes I'd have the opportunity to drive it a few hours, and that was a great opportunity too. So, so after I graduated from the university, I had an opportunity to go to work for General Electric in Schenectady, New York. But the Korean War came up, and so I went into the Army. I had a ROTC commission, and spent the 2 years in the Army. It was originally I had an infantry commission, but they switched me to the Ordnance Corps, and I spent the first part of the career in St. Louis with the Ordnance District, and then was transferred to Houston, and then I went back to Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland to get some training before I went overseas. And I spent the overseas career mostly in Japan, and I enjoyed the tour there and matured a lot in a couple of years and felt I learned a lot too. When I was discharged from the Army, I came back to Omaha and was going to spend a few weeks here, and then my dad said, son, he said, when you work for a big company like GE, sometimes a Jewish person doesn't really get ahead, and I want you to take a look at this little mattress company that is for sale, and maybe you'd like to do that. Well, I went and looked at it, and I came back. I said, Dad, you know, I was educated, and I want to build missiles. I want to do something with my engineering, and that's a very low-tech business. He said, son, he said, first of all, there's nothing like being your own boss in business or in anything. And secondly, he said, you know, if you ever leave to go to GE, you'll never be with the family. And he says it's good for families to be together. And so finally, when I said, Dad, I'm really not that interested, he said, son, he said, you know, if you go into the mattress business in a year or two, if you don't like it, GE will be glad to hire you with a year or two's experience. Well, in those days, you know, you really listened to your parents, and I said, okay, Dad, I'll give it a try. And that's how I got started in the bedding business. And we started out, we had about 10 employees, and our factory was in a 3-story building on 10th and Dodge. And we worked there for, about 15 years, and we began to be successful. And then we located a piece of property out on 60th Street, and were able to get an IDA bond issue, industrial revenue bond, and were able to build our new factory up here on. I'd like to talk a minute about my mother's brothers. There was a large family. She had 6 brothers, and all of them stayed basically in the Omaha area. And of the 6 uncles that I had, when they finished high school and got started in their work careers, 2 of them moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, and were in the manufacturing business, and 2 of them moved to Des Moines, and then there was 2 of them stayed here in Omaha, and each of them had 2 or 3 children, and so I'm fortunate I have a lot of cousins. And it was interesting, on the key thing of all the immigrants was that they said that you have to work hard and get a good education because that's a way for a better life. And I could remember my dad worked 6.5 days a week, and Sunday was my time, Sunday morning, to be with my dad, and he would go to work and I'd go to work with him. And the messages that I got from my father all the time was, number one, America is such a wonderful country, that he used to tell me in Yiddish every day that every person here should get up in the morning and go out and kiss the stones in the street. That's how wonderful it is. The second thing he told me, he said, in America, if a person wants to work, they could not only get 1 job, they could get 2 jobs. It's a place where there is opportunities to work. And the third thing that that he said was, he said, son, if you get a good education, you can go to work with a suit and a tie. And he said, if you don't, it's okay, you can make a good living in a pair of overalls too. And that's what your dad did. But if you get an education, you got a better chance to really live an American dream. And so it was interesting, and all of the siblings of my uncles, all of them were highly educated. And I have an uncle, Aaron Krantz, who has 3 sons. They all went to Eastern schools, Harvard, Yale, Columbia, were all graduate attorneys and very successful. My uncle Dave Krantz had 2 youngsters, both graduated for college, and both of them stayed in the Omaha area. One of them is married to the Bakers, and Howard Krantz got into the furniture business and has Allen Furniture. My Uncle Abe had 3 children, and one of them is Rita, and Rita was married to one of the Novaks, and a wonderful person, had a nice business, and the other daughter married Bob Krasny, and they're living in San Antonio now. And then their son, the youngest, was an attorney and became a dean of a law school, and now has a very prominent position in Washington, D.C. Then I have my Uncle Pat, had 2 children. Both of them graduated from school, and one went to Southern Cal and was an accountant and a lawyer and became a corporate attorney, and then now is in real estate development. Both of them are in real estate development. And then my last uncle was Sam from Des Moines, and he had two kids, and one of them married a doctor and has a successful practice there. And the other was married to one of the Englands in Des Moines, and they had a successful manufacturing company. But the nice part about it is that all of the cousins are friends, and we grew up together and still enjoy each other's company. And also with all my aunts and uncles, I remember something that my mother said at my wedding, which was in Chicago, and she said one of the things that she was proud of is all her brothers and their wives were at the wedding, and it didn't have much significance to me then, but right now, when they have all passed away except two, my uncle Aaron Krantz is in Arizona, and my aunt Hazel Krantz is in Denver, and those are the only two that are still alive in the group. I went to visit my uncle not too long ago, and he's 95 years old, gets up every morning, works out, was proud to show me on the sign-up sheet that he's the first one there every morning. Then he reads the newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, has breakfast, and then goes up and works on his computer. And he runs a stock portfolio that's more successful than his three sons, who are attorneys in New York. So I think we're blessed and really have a family that had a great work ethic and appreciated being here. My father had a brother here, and after being in Omaha, he and his wife moved out to San Diego, and that's where they raised their family. They had one son, Leonard Vietzer, and a daughter. The daughter was married and had three children and doing well in California. The son was an architect, and I was proud when I was on the campus of the University of California at San Diego, that I saw buildings that he designed with his name on them. But so we were very blessed that we had a wonderful family. And then, of course, I have a brother and a sister, and my sister now, who was really older than me at one time, but she's younger now, and married Louis Blumpkin, and that was a blessing because Louis is just like a brother to us, and we've had a wonderful relationship. And Franny and Louis had three kids, and Louis was very tied up, working long hours and weekends in the business, so I spent a lot of time with his boys. I would take him to all the football games, take him to golf events, take him out of town to all the bowl games, and so we've developed a very close, wonderful relationship. And then my brother Norm was still in school when I started the company, and he graduated from law school and came to work in the company and has been a tremendous asset and instrumental in the growth of the company. And Norm has 3 children, and 2 daughters and a son, and all very well educated and were successful in their fields, and we're fortunate. His son Scott is with us in the company now, and and doing an outstanding job. And also I should mention that I was a bachelor for many years, but one of my good friends, Don Stern, married a girl from Chicago, and so I was very fortunate that she had a sister, a younger sister that I met, and her name was Gail, and we ended up getting married. And my folks were very pleased when I was able to bring Gail home, and their son was finally getting married. But we've had a wonderful life, and we have 2 wonderful children. My oldest daughter, Lynn, grew up here in Omaha and went to Westside High School here, had an outstanding high school career, and was one of the speakers at the high school graduation. Was also very active in sports, was state tennis champ, and we've had a lot of wonderful times together. And she went to Cornell University at Ithaca, New York, and when she graduated, before she graduated, she had some internships in investment banking in New York with Solomon Brothers, and she fell in love with New York City. And then when she graduated, she got a job there, and said she liked New York and probably was going to spend her life there. She had an excellent career and became an oil analyst, and was very successful in that endeavor. And then finally decided that she didn't want to be doing that when she was old and 40, and wanted to be an artist. And she did her art training, and now has become a very successful artist in New York. My son also graduated from Westside, and then went to Tulane University and graduated from Tulane, a degree in business, and also was involved in athletics, and played on the state championship golf team, and also played on the tennis team. And after Tim graduated, he came back to Omaha for a short time, and then went out to California and bought a massage therapy school, and now lives in San Francisco, and is very happy there with his school. And he bought it. The original school had about 450 students, and it was located in Emeryville, California. That's right across the bridge from San Francisco. And then since then, they've acquired another school in Sonoma and another one in San Jose, and just within the last few months purchased another school in Los Angeles. So he's very ambitious and doing very well in his. When I first got started with Omaha Bedding Company, I learned the business from the bottom up. The first thing I would do is I worked in a factory, and I worked where I was able to learn every operation that we did in the factory, and then I actually would get to work before 6 in the morning, and get the work lined up in the factory, and spend about 5, 6, 7 hours in the factory, and then get down to the office, do the office work. So the first few years required long hours and a lot of hard work. And as we began to have some success, we were able to hire a few more people, and things began to move very well. We've had a number of successes that helped the company grow. One of the early successes was acquiring the Yonkers department stores in Des Moines, Iowa as a customer, and that was one of our first major accounts that helped it grow. And then also we were able to get an account with United States Rubber Company to make their Coilon mattresses in the Midwest, and that was a big boost to us. And then also Nebraska Furniture Mart was a customer, and we were able to share in their wonderful growth. So we had a lot of good things that happened to us to enable us to grow. And one of the things that we originally did is we spent a focus on what we call contract bedding, which is selling bedding to hotels and universities and nursing homes and hospitals outside of the traditional retail stores. And over the years, we're very fortunate to develop a reputation in that industry, and we're able to land some major contracts that help spur our growth. And about 30 years ago, we outgrew our factory on 10th and Dodge, and were able to build a new factory and move out to our present location on 60th Street here. And as we moved out here, our business seemed to even grow more, and we were doing a business at further locations, and found out with our contract business we were able to sell any place in the United States. We were able to acquire some at one time to make mattresses for the Four Seasons hotels, and that was a major boost for us, because once we had some mattresses there, that a lot of other hotels wanted to buy our mattresses too. And we've had some interesting things happen there. That one time Julia Roberts spent a lot of time in the Chicago hotel, Chicago Four Seasons, while she was doing a film, and was interviewed on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she was talking about food she liked and desserts, and all of a sudden said her most favorite thing was to sleep on those wonderful beds at the Four Seasons. Well, then Oprah popped in and said, that's the only place that has a better bed than my own home. Well, we got tremendous publicity on that, and got calls from all over the country, and that was a big boost to our hotel business. And finally, we had a number of hotels who were so satisfied with the product, and they'd get so many guests that would want to know where they could buy that product. And they used to call the factory, and we'd refer them to dealers in different parts of the country. And finally, they said, well, why don't we sell them in our gift shops? And they began to do that, and we have a number of hotels, major hotels all over the country that sell our products in the gift shop. And so we've had, many good things that have happened to us along the way with the growth of our business. And it was always fascinating to me, because I enjoyed every aspect of the business. I enjoyed the production and the engineering of the product, and then in the marketing too, and actually in building people in the factory, and seeing young people that came to work without a skill, and retiring later on with having raised a family and educated them, and have a great career opportunity. And I got a lot of pleasure in seeing the people progress in their lives that worked here. Also, it enabled me to work in some of the areas, or do activities in many of the areas that I liked. I got involved at a young age in the Young Presidents Organization, which is a worldwide organization for people who were presidents of a company before age 40. And that was a great learning experience, and a great opportunity to meet and do things with people in many different countries. And also, I also had a great passion for sports, and got involved with football at a very young age, and a couple of guys here were instrumental in getting me started. It was Dave and Bob Bernstein and Phil Gerlich, and so I had many enjoyable times with the football program, and actually I think since 1946 that there has only been a couple of home games that I have missed in all those years. And I missed one season when I was in the Army in the States. I was able to attend 2 of the games, and then I missed a whole season when I was overseas during the Korean War. And other than that, outside of my son being born and the football falling on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah once, those are the only home games I have ever missed. And I've enjoyed that association with it, and worked with the athletic program, and many years ago became president of the Touchdown Club, which raised the scholarship money for the football team. And I enjoyed that work, and even to this day, after all those years, I still serve on their board of directors. And in addition to that, I also became involved in the National Football Hall of Fame, and right now I'm president of the Nebraska chapter of the Hall of Fame, and enjoy the association with that program on a national basis, and enjoy going every year to New York, where they induct the outstanding football players in the country. But along with that, I've also been active in the university, in the foundation, and enjoy the close association with the university. You know, one of the things I like to get back to is my bar mitzvah. That I remember in studying for the bar mitzvah, I thought it was very tedious and hard work, and I was going to Bethel classes, and I remember one beautiful day that we decided we all went to Bethel in their new synagogue, and we decided it was too nice to go in to study for the bar mitzvah, that we would stay out and play football. And I could remember it was Eddie Zirinsky and Don Stern and myself, and pretty soon Cantor Edgar came out and brought us back in. And that was kind of an interesting approach. He wasn't too pleased with us, but he did train us all for our bar mitzvah. And I could remember my bar mitzvah that I was pretty nervous, and didn't enjoy the process of being in front of all the people and doing it, but I sure enjoyed it when it was over with. I enjoyed the party and all the presents, and I remember my folks had a party at home on 35th Avenue and had all the presents laid out on a bed, and I felt it was all worthwhile with that. And I know that my folks were very proud. I was the first son that had a bar mitzvah there. And I was blessed with loving parents. Our parents were great parents, and they devoted their lives to all their kids, and they got great pride in what we did. And one of the other things that they took great pride in is when I got married to Gail. And first of all, they loved Gail, and the wedding was in Chicago, and it was on December 29th. And we picked that date because that would be the easiest time for me to get away from the factory at that time. And the whole family went in, and I was flying into Chicago the day before the wedding with my brother. And we got on the airplane, and there was a storm in Chicago and took out the landing lights, and we couldn't land in Chicago. So we went to Minneapolis. And then after a few hours there, the plane said they would go back to Chicago, and we went back to Chicago, and then the storm was still there, and we couldn't land again. So then we had to go back to Minneapolis. And at that time, we had to make a decision. Should we try it for another plane, or there was an opportunity to take a train from St. Paul to get to Chicago, the next day, but that would be cutting it kind of close. So we opted that we better take the train because you don't know about the airplane. And so we got on. We were fortunate to be able to get to St. Paul and just made the train. And so my brother and his wife Judy and I rode the train. Well, Judy went to bed on the train that night, and fortunately my younger brother always had some good ideas, and he brought his little suitcase that had some liquor in it, and we stayed up most of the night and had a few drinks and had a good time. But we did make it to the wedding, but I remember that Francis called Gail and kept assuring her that I would be here, and if not, Louis would fill in for me. But we had a wonderful wedding in Chicago, and then Gail and I left for Hawaii for our honeymoon. And I would say that probably the best break that I ever had in my life was meeting Gail and marrying her, because she's just been a wonderful wife and mother and friend, and we're blessed that we have so many interests and do everything together. And she also was a tremendous help in my work, because there was many times with much entertaining to do, and she was always a very gracious host and a big asset to me, and I don't think I could have accomplished everything without her help. And I also really admired her that she had her teaching degree and was teaching before, but even went on to get her master's degree and became a speech pathologist. And when the kids were old enough to leave, she went back to work in the public school system and got great satisfaction of helping young people. And so I've just been blessed to have a companion that's such a caring, wonderful. I've been fortunate to have a very busy life, but I always did find time for the synagogue and for the Jewish activities. And at one time, for years, I spent on the board of Bethel Synagogue and have always been active in UJA campaign funds, and now find time to be active in APAC and ADL, and am very focused on philanthropy for Jewish organizations and causes. And I feel very fortunate in my lifetime that I've been able to be born in this country and grow up here, and really have a career that I loved and enjoyed doing, and be involved in a community with so many wonderful people. And even at my age now of 78, when most of my contemporaries are retired, I love working, and I play all the golf and tennis, and enjoy taking lots of trips. But anytime I have the opportunity, I enjoy working. That's one of my hobbies and my favorite pastimes, and I feel that as long as I'm physically able, I want to continue to do that for. I'd like
for
to
many years.
close with just a brief remark on how lucky I have been to have the wonderful family, to have my wife Gail, who I love very much, and also Tim, that I love, and my daughter Lynn, that I love. And actually, it's because of Gail and Tim and Lynn that I've been able to have such a wonderful life that has made everything so worthwhile. And I feel very blessed and lucky that my folks caught the boat to get here, and I was able to have such a wonderful family. I love you all. Thank you.